Hey there, welcome to the DFS Build MLB edition. I am Kevin Roberts, getting ready to go over the main slate for tonight over at DraftKings. Already pushed out an early slate video. The early slate has been a mess. No, I'm just kidding. We'll see what happens as it works its way out. Just not a lot of scoring so far, and Hunter Brown has decided to be bad today, apparently. But this is a pretty interesting main slate. We do have some good pitching up top for sure. Just like aces in not so great spots, but it's all relative, right? Because you still need pitchers, and they're going to be the guys we go to for the most part. But lots of good offensive spots here for sure, namely a Coors Field game once again. If I do anything that helps you out here, please give this video a like. Let's try to get to 30 likes. And also subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribing already. We do MLB DFS videos like this. We do it for NBA. We do it for NFL when NFL rolls back around. So if it helps you at all, throw us a bone back and do that. If you want more advice, more finalized picks and stacks and stuff like that, as well as access to our Discord, just hit up our Patreon link below this video. Just $5.99 for everything that we do. You won't find a better price than that. All right, let's get down to it here, going game by game, just highlighting the top pitchers and looking at how they stack up against the offenses they're facing. The first game here, we got the Braves and in DC taking on the Nats. AJ Smith-Shawver, I think he's a solid play here. Let's see, his price point is 9.8K. I think he's just okay. I don't really want to pay almost 10K for him here. He grades out pretty well against what the Nats do well. Most of their scary power is going to come from the left side. Their best players, James Wood, CJ Abrams, those guys. He's going to limit the damage there, just not giving up much power to the left, walking way fewer batters against the left, striking everybody out on the left, 29.8% K rate this year, 33% last year. Very, very small sample size, absolutely. But still, he's crushing lefties, and most of the damage they're going to do is probably coming from the left side. So not super psyched to play the Nationals here, but at the same time, not really into Smith-Shawver just because of the price. Now, if you wanted to make a GPP pivot away from the chalky studs, Garrett Crochet, Jacob deGrom, if you want to do that, you can, because he's about the same price and he's not really going to be very owned. So I don't mind that. And then, like I said, just not really getting to the Nats just because there's no leverage opportunity and the matchup just is not set up for them. On the other side, I do like the Braves quite a bit. Trevor Williams is kind of just one of those regular dudes who doesn't really get a lot of strikeouts, is not really going to be cruising through lineups necessarily. But he can get ground balls and he can just survive and go eat up 5 innings. So certainly possible he does that here, but this year, especially, the numbers are not looking good for him on the left side. Just a 15% K rate on the left compared to 23% on the right. The walks are okay, but he's giving up quite a bit of power to the left side. So that's not good against Atlanta. You have, Matt Olson, Alex Verdugo, Ozzie Albies. You got a lot of decent lefty power here. Drake Baldwin has been off to a really good start. So they don't have much more than that, but they have 4 guys who are reasonably scary for Trevor Williams here. And then you can complete the stack with Marcell Ozuna, Austin Riley, however you want to do it. So a full Brave stack is totally fine. I do like that. The only issue, I think, is weather. Right now on Roto-Grinders, on the weather page, it is listed as orange. That means reasonable chance for delay and possibility of PPD. So just keep an eye on that. If that gets downgraded at all, the Braves are definitely on my radar. But in this game, not looking at the pitching. We can look at the pitching in Boston, which feels weird to say because Fenway Park is usually not where I want to go play my pitchers. But there are some spots, there is reasoning for liking the pitching here. So naturally, it's a hitter's park. We certainly can play the offenses if that's what we want to do. I don't think there's any weather. Winds are in at 10 miles per hour. So again, that does help the pitching, obviously a good amount. But it is a park that's very friendly to hitters. So if you want to play the offenses, I'll get to that in a little bit. I don't have a problem with it, but Boston specifically, 24% collective K rate. They're facing Tyler McGill, who's done a pretty good job of limiting power across the board. A very good job of limiting power against lefties. Solid K rate across the board. Very good K rate against righties. He does have walk issues, So obviously there's always the chance that Boston gets on base and then just like one of their guys crank a homer, and then all of a sudden it's good night. All things said, though, Miguel at 8.3K, I think he's a pretty good option. I think he's a solid SP2 on this slate. Not SP1 territory, certainly not safe because Boston does have power and it's a dangerous park, but I think he's a solid SP2 and is going to be in my pitcher pool for sure. On the other side, just not really going on my way to attack him, but of course it's Fenway, so you can play Boston if you want to. Garrett Crochet looks like the SP1 of this slate. He's definitely expensive, 10.5K, and I feel like all the major studs keep tanking. Like Hunter Brown on the early side, just like, Yesterday, Tariq Skubal, meh. Like, they're just like not really living up to the hype. And that's just how it goes sometimes. But Garrett Crochet looks good. Obviously, Dicey Park, the wind blowing in helps him. Look at all that green in his profile. Like, he's just not giving up power. His walks are, a little bit below average. So he certainly could walk the Mets a bit here because they are a good offense. But the K rate is what it's all about. He's just going to limit the damage, get a lot of ground balls. He's not going to give up many homers. So it's just going to come down to, can he limit the walks and take care of business here? I think he can. I do think there's an opportunity for leverage, though, because he's coming in with like almost a 60% ownership, at least projected. And the Mets do not strike out. 20% K rate collectively. They do get on base with walks. They do have a lot of power, 212 collective ISO. So I'm not going to go heavy on Mets by any means, and I'm going to be like very in on Crochet. But if he's going to be like 60% owned, a sprinkling of Mets to gain instant leverage is not the worst thing in the world. To get a major park upgrade and everything, every box is checked here except for the fact that they have to face a Garrett Crochet. Rangers also get a huge park upgrade. They are in New York. So the Rangers are pretty interesting here. Before we get to that, Jacob deGrom's taking on the Yankees. He crushes righties, and he's kind of is back into form. In his last 4 or 5 starts, he's been really, really good. So I'm just going to start believing that that's who he is now. Obviously, the Yankees are the Yankees. They can drop bombs like nobody else. They get on base decently, even when they're not hitting homers. They do strike out a little bit, so I think there is upside with deGrom. It's obviously a massive park downgrade for him specifically. But honestly, his numbers in 2025 and even last year, very small sample size last year, so I'm going to really focus on what he's been doing this year. Like, it's been bad from the left side, which is it's traditional for a righty, so it's not like super shocking. But like the ISO and fly ball rate and hard hit rate, they've been bad, like really bad for him especially. So we can look at Belly and Trent Gresham, Ben Rice. Like, the lefties from the Yankees are kind of appealing, but he's really taking care of business against the righties. And just in general, I think this is a decent spot for him. I do like Crochet over deGrom, but they both are super viable. Another spot where you can leverage the ownership, deGrom's coming in at like 39%. So certainly firing up a Yankee stack at home in a hitter's park, not the worst thing to do in the world, especially since deGrom, more so than Crochet for sure, has struggled at times in 2025. So if that's going to happen again, then you want to be on the right side of it. That said, it's mostly just deGrom here for me, not really super into the Yanks. On the other side, we have Ryan Yarbrough, not Nyan. Major park downgrade for him. Well, obviously, this is where he pitches. But point is, not a good spot to pitch. And he just doesn't have the same type of numbers that deGrom would have to make me feel good about him. I don't think he's very expensive, so there's that. He is 6.5K. If you want to play him as your SP2 and drop down and save cash, because like this is a Coors slate, we do have Dodgers, we do have other offenses that we want to get to that are not cheap. I don't hate it, but I actually like this for Texas quite a bit. Specifically the righties here going up against a lefty who offers not a great K rate, really high walk rate so far this year against righties. And he's also giving up fly ball action. So Wyatt Langford, Adolis Garcia, Marcus Semien, Jake Berger. I mean, all these guys are like super volatile players, but if they're on and they come in here with this nice park upgrade against a beatable pitcher, the Rangers could be a really interesting stack. They're not a high priority for me. Like, I'm not going to make the Mets or the Yankees a high priority stack in the face of like an ace matchup. And I'm not really going to make the Rangers a high priority stack when there's other advantageous spots to target, but it's not a huge main slate. And if everybody's going to overlook Texas, I will be a little bit overweight on them. One reason why Texas is going to go overlooked is because the Jays are one offense that would usually be in like that second or third tier, but people have to pay mind to them because Toronto is a good hitter's park, and they're facing Randy Vasquez, who just is not a good pitcher. Just like the numbers this year are brutal, and they weren't that much different last year. Specifically against lefties, he is not striking anybody out at all. 8% K rate against lefties last year, 7% this year. It's bad. Really high walk rate. He's giving up power and all kinds of contact against lefties. So that's where I'd start with the Jays stacks. They might be chalky, so I don't think you're doing yourself any favors by going like with mini stacks with the Jays, really. So I think you should just, if you're going to do it, just go all in and maybe try to differentiate. But of course, like a one-off or mini stack is totally fine. The Dalton Varsho is the one who projects the best, but if you want to go in there and complete it with Vlad, or Bichette or anything, that's fine. You can do a full 5-man J stack. I personally will probably go under if they end up being really chalky, because chalky Jays just are not my cup of tea. They tend to fail miserably when that happens. That said, really good matchup and good park for hitting. Kevin Gausman on the other side. Don't love the price at 8.8K. He does have strikeout upside, keeping the walks in check this year too, so that's nice. But the Padres do not strike out at all, and they get a park upgrade. So not super psyched about San Diego necessarily, but Gausman at 8.8K feels a little bit pricey. Taijuan Walker going against the Rockies at Coors Field. Is this the night where the Rockies finally get it going? Like, I really went at them the last 2 nights. Horrible results. Probably going to continue because of the Rockies. They're not good. But Taijuan Walker is not really that good of a pitcher either. So, his ground ball rate against righties, that's going to be not really that big of a deal for him in this park. And he's walking people like crazy from the left side. Certainly did that last year as well. Not really a very scary strikeout rate. He's getting hit pretty hard from the right side. I just think it's still another spot where we can go way over on Rockies. Like, everybody's going to play the Phillies. Everybody's going to play the Angels Athletics game, and everybody's going to look at the Dodgers Diamondbacks game. So for good reason, because the Rockies just aren't very good, they're going to get a little bit overlooked. And because of that, I do have some interest. Don't have anybody necessarily that stands out. I just think getting some Rockies in there. So you could do tiny three-man stacks or full stacks. Just, I think the Rockies are a pretty good offense to go after due to ownership. On the other side, Phillies, don't have anything bad to say about the Phillies. They have a really good matchup against Carson Palmquist, who is really bad in his only start this year. It's Coors, it's the Phillies. They've been crushing the first 2 games here, and I don't really think that's going to stop. The only reason to go away from the Phillies is twofold. Number one, they're very expensive. And if we're paying up for like a stud pitcher or even 2, how are you going to get to them? You can't. The other thing is they're going to be owned. I don't know if they're for sure going to be the highest owned offense on the slate because of the pricing. Their salary might make that not true, but they'll be up there. So if the Phillies are very expensive and very owned, even though it hasn't really been working out, I don't mind going away from them and picking somebody else that's in a really good spot as well and has that potential to either match or exceed them. So that said, if you want to play the Phillies, I'm not going to stop you because they look awesome and it's Coors Field. Jack Kakanowitz taking on the Athletics in Sacktown. This is a hitter's park. I believe it's warm with the wind blowing out. Let me double check that. Light wind blowing out, but it is warm there. California and all. He's been slapped around by lefties, cannot strike anybody out from either side, walking everybody, mostly lefties, but still walking righties. Has not given up any power to the right side of the plate, but has given up a ton of power and a ton of hard contact to the left side. So I would start the athletic stacks with the lefties, which I don't ever love because I really want to get my Langoliers and Brent Rooker on. But I mean, they have good lefties with power here. They got Nick Kurtz, Lawrence Butler, Tyler Soderstrom, and JJ Bleday. So like all these guys do have solid power, and that does not set up well for Kakanowitz at all. And if you want to complete the stacks with those guys I said, like Langoliers and Rooker, I mean, I'm all for that. I think they can certainly still get on base and get us some points. So I love the Athletics. Really, really liked them last night. They got off to a really nice start and then just like snooze fest. the rest of the way. So that was disappointing. But we know they have tons of power. This is a hitter's park, good weather, good matchup. Love the Athletics. I do like the Halos on the other side. JP Sears is a better pitcher than Kekanowicz by quite a bit. He's a good real-life pitcher, not the best fantasy pitcher. This is still the Halos without Mike Trout, though. So if you want to play JP Sears, you certainly can. He is 7.9K, at home. And the Halos do strike out, and they are just typically kind of bad. So you can definitely do that. I think the thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at what happens with JP Sears' ownership. Like right now, he's just not that owned. If he's not that owned at 7.9 in a good matchup, I'm game for that. Like that's a good SB2 to me. If he ends up being owned, I'm going to fire up a lot of Angels because, historically he has issues with righty power, certainly giving up a lot of hard contact to righties. 56% hard hit rate against righties, only 21% against lefties. That's bad. And then, of course, it's just not a good park, and the Angels do have a lot of power. It is inflated quite a bit by Matthew Lugo being in there, but they still have a lot of power. Zach Nato, Taylor Ward, Jorge Soler, Logan O'Hoppe, Joe Adell. A lot of strikeouts, but a lot of power. So I will definitely be interested in LA once again. Corbin Burnes gets the fun opportunity to go into Dodger Stadium and take on the Dodgers. I mean, I guess you can play Corbin Burnes if you want to. His numbers against lefties, which is where we usually use LA bats, they've been fine. He's walking them like crazy. 14% walk rate against lefties as opposed to 7% against righties. But he's not giving up a lot of power. He's making them hit a lot of ground balls. I just don't see the upside with Burnes. Burnes' price is at what? 9.3K. It's the Dodgers on the road. I don't know. I think you can leave Burnes in your pitcher pool to get different. I don't see the upside. I think if Corbin Burnes is going to be owned at all, I would very much gladly go away from him. But even if he's not, I'm not really seeking leverage by playing the Dodgers. It really what it would be is I'm possibly playing a low-owned Dodgers to close out the slate, and that's always pretty inviting. So they've kind of flatlined in the first couple of games of this series against way more advantageous spots against Ryan Nelson and Brandon Pfaadt. So naturally, they're going to crush Corbin Burnes, who's a better pitcher than those guys, right? Certainly possible. So I do like the Dodgers. I'll definitely be over on them. Dustin May is a worse pitcher than Corbin Burnes, and he's kind of in an equally bad spot in a tough park. Mostly it's kind of mixed, honestly. Like he's walking lefties. He's not striking anybody out. He's giving up power to righties. So you can really just attack him however you want. Arizona has plenty of power. They don't strike out, and they get on base at will. I don't really see anything in Dustin May's profile that really scares me off of them. I guess he's not giving up power to the left side, which is a little bit disconcerting considering Corbin Carroll, Josh Naylor, those two guys specifically are like kind of like the anchor of the Diamondback stack, and those are the guys I really want. So that would maybe cause some hesitation, but in general, just not afraid of Dustin May. And it's a good park for hitting, and the Diamondbacks are awesome. So I like them quite a bit. All right, that's going to do it for the game-by-game breakdown. Hopefully that helps you out, gives you a little insight, add some nuance to your process. I think, once again, for me, I'm big on the Rockies and I'm big on the Athletics. Like, these are two offenses that are in really good parks for hitting, kind of smash spots, really. Like, Kekanowicz and Walker are not scary pitchers to face. It's not like the Rockies are facing the guys they just faced. They faced Jesus Luzardo, and I can't remember the other guy they faced, but they did not have easy matchups really in the previous two games. This is the first game of the series where I actually think, I actually feel way better than I did before that the Rockies can actually get it going. But the big thing is these offenses have power potential, and they possibly are not going to be that owned when you have the Dodgers, you have the Phillies, you have the Yankees, you have the Jays carrying steam, possibly the Braves if that game stays. So that's where I'm at the most. I'd be very heavy on the Athletics and the Rockies. And as far as pitching goes, I think I'd definitely start with Garrett Crochet and Jacob deGrom. And then, depending on what I do in the rest of my lineups, we can then look at SB2 options like McGill and Sears. Not seeing any punts that I feel really good about. Certainly you could always argue for Taijuan Walker against the Rockies because they're bad. And if you don't want to play any Rockies, you can just do that at 7K. But it's Coors Field still, so not necessarily something I want to race to go do. All right, that is going to do it for me. Hopefully this helps you out. If it does, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Both those things help us out quite a bit. And you can help us out even more and also help yourself out by hitting up our Patreon, just $5.99 a month to get access to everything we do, including our Discord. Thanks for watching and good luck.